In this video, we want to talk about the resources of a business. In their famous book, Johnson and Scholes, on strategy, they say that strategy is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantages for the organization through its configuration of resources within a challenging environment to meet the needs of markets and to fulfill stakeholder expectations. So we're going to look at what is meant by resources here for the business and have an overview of the meaning of the term and what exactly or what precisely constitutes the resources of a business. First of all, we have the financial resources. Financial resources concern the ability of the business to finance its chosen strategy. For example, a strategy that requires significant investment in new products or distribution channels or production capacity, working capital, or whatever it is. These will require financial resources to put a pressure on the business finances, and there needs to be financial resources to enable them to be pursued. An audit of financial resources would include assessment of the following factors: cash balances, bank overdraft facilities, bank and other loans, shareholder capital, working capital, for example, stocks, debtors already invested in the business, creditors, suppliers, the government, and so on. So looking at financial funds requires some sort of net picture out of these various components. And when we include all of those, we get some sort of, at least one side of a picture of financial resources. Now, the ability to raise new funds, well, that also it's a financial resource. The strength and reputation, for example, of the management team, that's a resource. And that can enable the business to pull in resources from banks or from lending agencies. So it's a strength. The relationship between the investors and lenders, that's possible strength. Attractiveness of the market in which the business operates. If it's a new innovative market riding a trend, that's it's like a resource. It's a financial resource. It enables the business to project itself in a very positive light and makes it easy for the business to raise finance from banks or from investors. Listing on a stock exchange. It may be a possibility. Some companies, when they get to a certain size, a certain reputation, a certain resource base, the next step is to float on the on a stock exchange, issue its shares on the stock exchange, bring in new money, new investors, and so on. There's also human resources in a business. Nothing happens in a business unless people do the things in the business. A business must have people, otherwise it's nothing will happen. And this means that there should be some sort of skills audit. What does the business already possess? What sort of skills do the workers have? And are they sufficient to meet the chosen strategy? If they're not, what sort of plan is there in place to upgrade the skills? And can the skill base be flexible or stretched to meet new requirements? What about future expansions or new innovations coming into the market? What sort of planning is required to enable the human resources in the business, to enable them to effectively meet the challenges of these new products, new innovations, the changes that are coming in the future? And an audit of human resources would include an assessment of the existing staff resources, the number of staff, the functions, the location, the grade, the experience, the qualifications, the remuneration. Is this existing rate of staff loss? How many people leave the business, don't find it attractive or want to move on, and why? Why is this happening? Overall standard of training and specific training standards in key roles. Are the people equipped to handle change, to handle the market needs as the market needs change now and in the future, in international markets, in the light of innovations, technical innovations? So are the skills being updated? And also, what about the intangibles, morale and the business culture? How is the business seen, and how do the people who work for the business relate to it? Changes required to resources. The organisation should really look at the nature of the skills required and the gap between the existing skill sets and the required skill sets. So what, if you like, what incremental human resources are required? What additional human resources are required? And are the people flexible enough to take those on board? And that might mean some sort of budget for training, employment. It might mean even outsourcing. If the skill sets are not available within the business, perhaps certain functions should be given off to other companies that have those skill sets. Perhaps a joint venture where 2 or 3 companies collaborate to make a particular product. This often happens, for example, in the airline industry when new and expensive airlines are being planned. There's also physical resources. The category of physical resources covers a wide range of operational resources concerned with the physical capability to deliver a strategy. Now, these include production facilities, the location of existing production facilities, the capacity of the production, the investment and maintenance required to ensure that the production facilities are up to date and competitive with what's available in the rest of the market. Critically looking at the current production processes to see if they can be upgraded or greater efficiencies achieved with the existing configuration of capital or configuration of overall physical resources. What are the qualities and methods of organisation associated with the production facilities, and the extent to which the production requires a strategy in itself to enable it to efficiently handle materials from the point of entry to the point of exit as a new product. So it's a totality of the production system and how efficient that is. There are also marketing facilities, marketing management processes and distribution channels. How effective are those being handled, and what sort of criteria or standards of judgment or standards of assessment are set out so that the activities within those departments are benchmarked against the standards and some outcome assessed by senior management. And of course, the perennial information technology. To what extent is IT integrated with customers and suppliers? What is the supply chain? How is it integrated? Does it use networks, for example, to facilitate efficient movement of goods, information, services? Again, a physical resource, and needs some thought is needed to consider its implications. There are also intangible resources. It's easy to ignore the intangible resources, but they are very, very important, and these include goodwill. That's the difference between the value of the tangible assets of the business and the actual value of the business. In other words, what somebody would be prepared to pay for the business. If the business has a book value of $1 million or pounds or euros or whatever, and somebody is prepared to pay £2 million or dollars or euros or whatever, the difference is goodwill. That's what the company is worth in the mind of the purchaser, the goodwill. The reputation of the business as well. How is it seen within the community? How is it seen within the market? What are its strategic objectives, and how do they accord with the overall view of business within the community, within the country? How does it relate to its employees, and how does it relate to the community? The brands. These are often strong key factors in whether a growth strategy is successful or a failure. What brands does the business have, and how recognizable are the brands? And intellectual property. Well, intellectual property is the ownership of the rights, the patents, the trademarks, or the patents, as some people say. The patents or the patents. And the trademarks that are associated with the products. What protection has the company got to stop people, other companies, perhaps even in foreign markets, from copying the goods? There has been a problem in many countries for many years of fake items being imported and sold on the market to replace the genuine product. Well, obviously that's not fair. The people who came up with the design originally had to spend time and effort, money, to generate those designs. Then they were successful in the market after successful marketing, only to have their products copied perhaps and fake items put into the market. It happens in many businesses, in music, in films, in clothing, in leather goods, in many areas. But the protection of the intellectual property is complicated, it's expensive, but it's a necessary expenditure to protect the brands and the image of the brand and the reputation of the business. So those are some of the resources of a business, ranging from financial, marketing and so on, right down to the intangible resources of the business. So that's a backdrop on the types of resources that we should be aware of when we consider business. This concludes our video, so thank you for watching.